Hello, I'm Matt Guff from House.com, and these are two boards from Ride called the Warpig and the Mountain Pig. I'm going to show you their similarities and their differences, and hopefully by the end of the video you'll know which board is better for you. Both great decks, but they kind of serve different purposes. The Mountain Pig is kind of like a big mountain free-riding deck that has standardized style sizing, whereas the Warpig can be sized down quite a few centimeters, has a volume shift story, it's extremely wide, it's for all-mountain freestyle use. It's won a lot of really great awards. But kind of before I get into their differences, I'm going to walk through their similarities and yeah, we'll just kind of dive in. They're both a lot of fun to ride, but again, they serve kind of the two different purposes. Their similarities are actually, they're both called tapered directional style boards. That means that the noses are a little bit wider than the tails. The Warpig has a 10 millimeter style taper, and the Mountain Pig has a 5 millimeter taper. And then they both have the same style wood cores inside. That's a combination of aspen, polonium, which is really lightweight, and bamboo, which has a lot of energy to it. They also feature what's called double impact plates underneath where your bindings rest for extra durability, and something called a roll-in style construction. That means that the top sheets of these boards actually kind of roll into these urethane slime walls, and the idea behind that is to make the boards a little stronger without adding weight, actually reducing weight in the manufacturing process. The bases are all sintered. They're going to be extremely fast, but you're going to need to keep them waxed up throughout the season, otherwise they won't be as fast as extruded style bases. And they both have a nice stone grind style finish. There's a deep amount of structure. You can hear it there. It's a real blast actually to wax these boards up. Those are the similarities. They're both fun boards, but they definitely have different feels. This one's a lot stiffer, and the Warpig's just going to be a little bit softer. But the most interesting thing about these boards is how they actually engage their edges. Now, the Mountain Pig has a setback stance. Like within its effective edge or running length, the stance is set back 19 millimeters, whereas the Warpig, within its perspective, kind of a contact point area, has a centered stance. That's why it kind of feels like a twin board when you ride it switch, even though it has a longer than sweeping up nose than it does a tail. The profile shape of the Warpig is actually called a directional style rocker. Now, that means basically the board is flat, and then in the nose there is a gradual style sweep, but notice how it doesn't really kick up quite a bit, and there's a little bit of rocker on the tail too. Now, this one, the Mountain Pig, is going to be quite a bit more aggressive because of the hybrid or the directional hybrid camber profile shape. So it has a very similar nose shaping to the Warpig. It has a nice gradual sweep, but basically behind that front foot, all the way to the tail contact point, there's a nice bit of camber, and that camber provides a lot of snap and pop with this board. It's really quick edge to edge, lightning fast edge to edge, extremely quick out of the turn because of the progressive side cut radius that it has. There's a larger side cut radius on the nose for a nice sweep in, and then a very aggressive tighter side cut radius out, which accelerates you down the hill. The Warpig is going to feel a lot different because of this profile shape, because it's flat. It's still stable, but it's not overly aggressive. It's not as catchy as what you find in the Mountain Pig. And then it has what's called a reverse progressive side cut radius, or what Ride calls it, a tapered biradial side cut. What it is basically the opposite of the Mountain Pig. There's a smaller side cut radius in the nose and a more mellow, larger one in the tail, allowing for the Warpig to really dive into turns really quick and then kind of have a more mellow feel out of them, which is pretty much the biggest difference between both boards. A lot of people who really enjoy the Warpig tend to have actually big feet. Now this deck comes in 5 different sizes. They rate them from size extra small to extra large, which is kind of weird, but it's basically a 142 to 158, and they're extremely wide. The 142 has a 25 centimeter waist width, and the 158 has a 27.7 centimeter waist width, which is extremely huge. So if you have big feet, the Warpig is a great board. Now, the Mountain Pig does have a standard sizing. It's not a volume shift story. It's kind of a regular style shape. It basically has like a 155, 159, and 162 in the regular widths, and then there's a 160 and then a 162 or 164 wide waist width. So if you have big feet and you want to get on this because you may feel it may be more beneficial for you, well, they do have wide waist widths. And then there's some additional laminates to the board which are fairly distinct between both. As you see in the top sheet of the Mountain Pig, there's actually this birch style veneer. It's a little bit different than what you'll find in the topless top sheet in the Warpig that's actually infused to the glass. There's carbon array 5 in the Mountain Pig too. There's more carbon that radiate from and across the tail and the nose, giving the board a little bit more structure and torsional rigidity, along with, in contrast to the carbon array 3 less stringers that you find in the nose and the tail of the Warpig. There's an additional kind of cool thing with the rolling construction that I was talking about before. Is like this is a urethane style sidewall. Both boards actually feature that, and that sidewall, which is actually called slime walls, isn't affected by the temperature. So the board's sidewalls are going to flex the same in cold temps as they do in warmer style temps. But the biggest difference between the Mountain Pig and the Warpig's slime walls is that the Mountain Pig in the tail has actually like a sandwich of style carbon, and that'll allow for extra energy, extra stability, extra like kind of boost out of those turns and out of those ollie pops. Combine that, of course, with that camber kind of profile in the tail, and you've got like a pretty wild style deck. The feel and flex rate of the Mountain Pig is going to be about a 7, whereas the Warpig is going to be about a 5. So pretty average here and quite a bit stiffer here. So, as a intermediate to advanced level hard charging all mountain rider, you'll probably enjoy this one a lot. Whereas if you're a little bit more of an all mountain freestyle person, the more mellow style feel compared to both of these may be a little bit more beneficial for you. Now the edges are pretty unique too. There's a 360 wrap standard steel edge, but the Warpig actually has what's called a cleaved edge. They use 50% more standard steel, and whereas the Mountain Pig just standard steel 360 wrap. They're both great decks. They really are. If you want to get on the pig style train, definitely do it, because it's a really fun series of decks. The Warpig, it's really quick in the turns, has a little bit more of a mellow feel, but still has a good amount of pop. Feel and flex of a 5. You could probably put any skill level on it if you'd like to. Whereas the Mountain Pig, it's a little bit more for that hard charging rider, standardized style sizing, really stiff in the tail, and it does come in some wide sizes. But those are the differences and similarities of both the Mountain Pig and the Warpig. You really can't go wrong with either. A lot of people are gravitating to the Warpig. It still has a lot of spice in snowboarding right now. So thanks for watching. Leave a comment or question. We got a lot of boards at thehouse.com. Make sure to check them out. If you see any of these boards at a more reduced rate than what we sell them for, just remember that we price match. So check them out at the house. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll see you guys on snow. Peace.